How's it going, folks? This is Mike. Yes, I'm wearing a hat again. I'm having a bad hair life. Not a bad hair day, a bad hair life. So we're just going to cover up for a while. Anyway, all right. So, how's everyone doing? I'm here to do a response to a video that my good friend DVD Collector1974, whose first name is James, made way back on December 3rd. And I, I've been intending to do this for a long time, and I'm so lazy. So I'm just now getting around to it. But James did a video where he talked about friendships that he's made on YouTube, and he talked about how it's so nice to have people that we can connect with concerning our interest in films and our passion for collecting, when most of us don't know people like that in our real lives, and I certainly don't. I have a lot of friends who love movies and they know a lot about movies, but nobody in the world that I know that I can, call up on the phone or walk down the street and visit. Nobody has a collection of DVDs like I do, and so they all think I'm a little bit crazy. So having all of these people on YouTube that I can share this passion with is really terrific. So that's what James was talking about, and he mentioned some people in the video that are very special to him, and I was one of them. He gave me some very nice compliments, and I greatly appreciated it. And that's not the first time James has shouted me out in videos. He's actually mentioned me many times and said some very nice things, and he's truly been one of the most supportive people that I've ever met on YouTube or Facebook. And it occurred to me that I'd never done the same thing for him. I may have mentioned his name a few times, but never shouted him out in the way that he did for me, and that he's done for a lot of other people as well. So I wanted to kind of return that favor and talk about my friendship with James and how much it's meant to me, and then also about another YouTube friend that I will get to after I talk about James. So anyway, that's what this is about. This is about friendship. So James, I don't know for sure now if I discovered James or James discovered me. Maybe it was kind of about the same time or something like that. But we started connecting back in 2012, and that was the same year where I first started making videos for YouTube. Even though I'd been a member of YouTube since 2006, I didn't get around to trying those first few awkward videos sometime in 2012, and they were all about my interest in music. I started getting connected with people in the vinyl community, people that collect records, very passionate people and very knowledgeable people. So I did several videos about music, and then I started to explore people who were interested in films and DVDs, and I started finding people like James that had these amazing walls of DVDs behind them, and I thought, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. James' collection was so impressive. But James himself was very impressive too, and I found myself watching a lot of his videos. What I like about James, he's very down to earth, he's very practical, and he's just incredibly passionate, and he knows so much about so many different kinds of films. It's not just one area. I know he's always said that his main interest is horror films, and that's cool, but he knows a lot about other things as well. And he posted a video sometime in 2012 where he invited people to get online and talk about their collecting and why they're on YouTube and why they like films and what their goals are. And I decided to do that. And that's when we really started to communicate. And after that, everything just kind of opened up for me on YouTube, and I started meeting these other people and getting all these ideas and seeing other people's collections, and it just became a really important and positive part of my life. And I feel like James has always been at the center of that. I think a lot of people would agree that James is probably the godfather of the movie collecting community, at least for a lot of us, and is so today. He was always very, very welcoming. He always was encouraging people to take part. He would always take part in everybody's contests, back when people used to do a lot of contests, which people don't do so much anymore. But he had this regular schedule of subjects that he would do for videos on certain days of the week. He had a day that was I think it was Saturday with Mr. Hitchcock, where he would talk about Alfred Hitchcock films, and he had the Criterion Corner, which is one of my favorites. He had a movie for each year of his life, which is something that I started getting involved in for a while and need to get back into. He would have random reviews where he would just pick out a title on his cell phone and then talk about it the next week, and just all kinds of things. And then it was the midweek chats, which became the weekly chats. We did that for a long time, and he's just been one of the most enthusiastic people that I've ever met, and very, very knowledgeable about films. And I've learned a lot from James. Oh, I should also mention his puppets, which he hasn't been doing for a while, but I hope he brings them back, because he creates these puppet characters, and they're all very different. And the best one by far is Zig Ziggerson, who is a nasty little creature, but very, very funny. And James is so good at this, he could be a professional. I mean, I hope that someday he gets a chance to do that professionally, because he has a lot of talent. Anyway, so I've learned a lot from James. We have a lot of things in common about the kind of movies we like. He loves the old Universal classic monster films from the 1930s and 40s. He likes the monster movies of the 1950s, and I love those things as well. So we have a lot of things in common. But one area in which James is way past me is modern films. I haven't, well, I'm very involved in the past, and I don't know that much about modern films, modern directors, modern actors. I don't keep up with things as well as I should. I'm trying to get a little bit better at it. Now, one area in which I was severely lacking was knowing about modern horror films. I reached a point sometime back in maybe the late 70s or sometime in the 80s where I started backing away from going to see new horror films or renting them, because they were just, the slashers with just an overemphasis on blood and gore and cruelty, and I just didn't like that stuff, so I stopped watching them. So when I started listening to James talking about horror films from the 1990s and the 2000s, I really started paying attention and thinking, well, maybe I should start being a little more adventurous. And one film that he encouraged me to watch is a film that I don't own, and it's a Swedish vampire film called Let the Right One In. Something I had heard of, but only in passing, and never thought in my life that I would want to see it. He gave it such a glowing recommendation that I thought, maybe I should be, a little more. Maybe I should go see it if I get a chance. Well, lo and behold, shortly after that, I did get a chance, because one of my local theaters was showing this film for one night only, a late night showing, and I went to see it. And it absolutely blew me away. It was a great, great horror film. So I feel like that was opening my mind up a little bit, and I have to thank James for encouraging me to see that. Later on, he encouraged me to see another film, because he talked about this in a couple of his videos. This is a Criterion Collection film called The Vanishing, a film I did go out and buy. A Dutch suspense / horror film, which I had seen when I would go through the stacks at Barnes & Noble through the Criterion Collection, which I do quite a bit, and I would just kind of pass it by without having no interest in it whatsoever. And James talked about it so much that I was very intrigued by it. So during one of the half price sales last year, I think it was the one in the spring, I picked this up, and maybe a month or so down the road, I finally got around to watching it. Wow, one of the absolute best suspense horror films I have ever seen in my life. You know how it is when you see something on the screen and you are frozen with fear? I mean, it's like your blood just turns to ice. That is the way I felt at the conclusion of this film. This film takes you on a journey that you have no idea where it's going to go, but you kind of hope that it's going in a certain direction and giving you some kind of closure, and you're not expecting this at all. This is one of the best horror film experiences I've ever seen. So James gave me a gift. I have to thank him for that. So we've been able to exchange a lot of things, and he's just a great friend, and we've done a lot of collaborations together, and I hope we'll do more in the future. So great. Here's my shout out to James Higgins, DVD Collector 1974. So if you don't know him, you should. I will put a link down to his channel below. Now, it's because of my friendship with James that I met another guy and this is about 2 years ago, so we're friends on both YouTube and Facebook. This is a guy that you all know as Forkerball, whose first name is Ian. Now, Ian and James are the best of friends, and they have a lot in common, but they're very different kinds of people. They express themselves very differently. They have different kinds of humor. And Ian is one of the, when he makes his videos, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And most of the time, the humor is directed at himself. And I understand that because I do that a lot myself. But he also has a very serious side. And within one video where he's being very funny, he can also get very, very serious in his enthusiastic passion and description of a movie and how he feels about it. And he just puts a lot into his videos, and he knows a lot. It's because of Ian that I've been encouraged to explore Charlie Chaplin. I didn't know very much about Charlie Chaplin at all. Ian is kind of my go-to guy for silent films. Now, silent films is an area where I've only taken a few very quiet steps into and then kind of pulled back. But this is one of the first I had seen one other Chaplin film, Modern Times. It's a film that I do not own. I saw it years ago at a theater. But that's where my interest kind of stopped. And then I finally got around to watching The Great Dictator. Absolutely loved it. And then Ian kept encouraging me to explore Chaplin even more. So I bought City Lights at one of the Criterion sales last year. It took me several months to actually sit down and watch it. I can't believe I waited so long because this is incredible. One of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life. Just really a beautiful movie. So thank you, Ian, for that. Ian has also been a very, very supportive friend of mine. And in fact, he made a video about, sometime last year, I guess, where he listed his top 5 YouTube channels, and mine was one of them. And I was extremely flattered and very grateful, and I don't feel I deserve that at all. He put me in the company of 4 very terrific people, and people like Luke, Razor Wires Review, Jason Beyond the Realms, DVD Collector1974, and Ryan Chataway. These are guys that I feel they're up here someplace, and I might be down here, in quality, knowledge, and all that stuff. So I was very, very flattered. Ian has been a very good friend. And I have to say also that he is the only person that I've ever seen on YouTube who has ever mentioned this incredible film, The 3 Burials of Melquiades Estrada, directed by and starring Tommy Lee Jones. Not sure when this was made. Some late 90s, early 2000s. I'm not really sure. I never heard of this movie until I saw it in one of my film classes, either sometime in 2016 or it might have been late in 2015. And it's one of those movies that was so incredible that after I saw it, during the next several days, thinking about it intensified the effect. I mean, it's one of those movies where it just, the more I thought about it, the more I realized, wow, that was just an incredible masterpiece. And it was during that time, or shortly after that time, Ian talked about it in one of his videos, and I was very impressed by the fact that he knew about this. I've never heard anybody else talk about this movie, and it's absolutely fantastic. So Ian has encouraged participation in a lot of chat. He brought the weekly chat back for a little while. I hope we can do that again. He does a lot of top 10 lists, top 5 lists. He really overworks himself on YouTube because, for example, last Halloween he was doing the 31 days of Halloween, a video every day, which is something he did I think the year before, and too much work. I'm lucky if I can do a video maybe once or twice a month, but every day, that's a lot of stamina. So I have to I won't take my hat off, but I could take my hat off to Ian for what he brings to YouTube and for being a very supportive friend and somebody that I am so happy to be connected with. So, and right now, James and Ian have just finished doing their top 100 films of all time, which is something they do every year. And I did it last year, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of thought to put those lists together. So check out their channels and find out what their top 100 films are, and get to know these guys, and you will appreciate them as much as I do, I'm sure. So Thank you very much for watching. Comments are welcome. This has gone on for almost 15 minutes. It's time to stop. Anyway, take care.